Well, hello and welcome back. I today have just got back from servicing my Eletres, and at Hendy Performance in Eastleigh, also known as Southampton Lotus, they had an Eletre demo car, which you can see here, the black one, and they had another green one inside, which I was able to clamber all over and have a really good look at in good detail. Now, I have to say up front, I didn't get to drive either car. The Lotus test driving procedure is very regimented now, so this is not a drive review, but I did have a good clamber all over this green one, and so I thought I would share my thoughts on this very controversial, at least for a Lotus car. Now, as an obvious fan, long-term owner and great admirer of what is now thought of as old Lotus, I approached the Eletre with a fair bit of baggage containing conflicting emotions. I still believe that there would have been some way for Lotus to succeed building lightweight cars. They don't all have to be sports cars, but I do still believe in the lightweight philosophy and all the benefits that come with it. I don't accept that you have to make an SUV just to survive in the current climate. And I don't accept that any expensive SUV is guaranteed to succeed. So in some ways, building a 2-ton plus electric SUV is the ultimate surrender. It could be argued, as many indeed have already, that it's the ultimate betrayal of Colin Chapman's philosophy. And some of the reviews have, for me, said all the wrong things. And like this one from Auto Express, have done a great job of putting me off the car for life.
Without this car and without Geely's investment, we'd be left with a bunch of special edition sports cars that we've seen 1,000 times before and no one would actually want to buy. Right, is it a proper Lotus? Well, no, but that's no bad thing, let's face it. People simply don't want proper Lotuses anymore. This is what people want. This is where the money is, and that's what Lotus have delivered. They've finally built a Lotus that the masses will want to buy. The dashboard is designed to look like the rear wing, with a cut-out section in the middle as a nod to weight saving. A nod to weight saving.
So needless to say, a 2.5-ton Chinese SUV wearing a Lotus badge with no more than a nod to weight saving would have its work cut out to impress me. But anyway, these are my genuine first impressions of the Eletre after a good poke around one in the showroom. So here I am inside the Lotus Eletre. And I have to be honest, it's very hard not to be impressed with this. It does feel beautifully made. Can you see the H head-up display just about there? I don't know, I'm assuming this is a very high-spec car because this is an S. The demonstrator at Hendy Ford is an R SUV, is an Eletre R, a 900 horsepower monster. But this one is an S, but I think it's very highly spec'd. I don't know if this colour changing business is it, but I do like the individual rear seats. It's a very, very luxurious modern SUV. If it drives well at all, that's a bonus, but I think you don't buy this for its handling, really. If it does handle well, then great, but the benefits of this are it's just a quiet, comfortable, luxurious way to cart the family around, isn't it? It's very unlikely that Lotus would end up making such a thing. So anyway, when we get to light, is where we can just change the colour of the lighting in the car, which it does very seamlessly and very easily. A little bit in the back. But it's crazy, isn't it? If this was called a Huawei or some Chinese name, exactly the same car, I wouldn't be that interested. But because it's called a Lotus, and you sort of assume that it might handle well, anyway, that's the whole point of it. That's why Geely bought the brand, because they knew that the name had some weight despite all the differing opinions. Anyway, I think actually it is a very nice thing. I've said if it is nice to drive at all, and check this out for it's quite a good test to just jump in a car with no previous knowledge at all, no access to the handbook, and see if you can find your way around the infotainment. And so far so good, actually. It's pretty quick and responsive. And I think I'm trying to get the here we go, massage. So the massage, you go standard, start, you choose waist. Let's see if I can even. Yeah, I think you can see that. So I'm getting a massage in a Lotus. I'm being massaged by the seats in a Lotus. I'm not sure I'd ever thought that day would come. Is it a real Lotus? No, of course it isn't. It's an amazing Chinese electric SUV, but I think the point for me is the design it's a UK designed SUV with Chinese money behind it. Would the Chinese have made it quite this nice? I suspect not, actually. Their design. So yeah, I am literally having a massage in a Lotus, if you can believe that. So let's get to stop. So there you go. Auto start steering wheel heating. Amazing. And really, you have to say this is the impact of Tesla on what Tesla did, really, and it's impacted all SUVs, and for the better. You know, the impact Tesla made is incredible and profound. So let's check out the rear seats. So this is interesting. I'm not sure how to get out. I'm guessing it's this button. It is. So, oh my gosh. And I think possibly this is just ludicrous step change for a Lotus, but forgetting about Lotus, I'm also an SUV owner. I've got a family Lexus SUV, so it's almost irrelevant that it's a Lotus, but just comparing this, there's masses of legroom and headroom back here, absolutely masses of it, and the individual seats are really nice compared, you know, to a normal back seat, bench seat. I know it's less practical, but if you've only got two kids, as I have, this is ideal. It's very hard not to be impressed with it. some ways I almost rather it wasn't the Lotus, but there we go. But I suppose if I was to buy an electric SUV, not really desperate to buy a Volvo or a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes, so I suppose why wouldn't I get one of these? The Lotus name isn't going to stop me, it's not why I'm buying this car. If I bought one, it wouldn't be because of the Lotus badge, but I guess the fact that it might in some way be supporting Hethel and the future sports cars is a good enough reason. But I certainly wouldn't buy a Lotus SUV that was worse than everything else. But this, to me, at this point in time, I mean, it's brand new, isn't it? And I'm sure everything else will, it won't be long before everything else catches up and overtakes it. But for right now, I'd take this over a Range Rover, wouldn't you? I mean, and the fact that it might actually drive quite well for what it is. Awful for a Lotus, and it's not a Lotus as I understand Lotus, but it's an amazingly nice electric SUV, so it's very hard not to be impressed. So let's try, see what I can get here, so I can do the radio back here, which is cool.
It's a one and all intrigue, I think.
O33 as well, and then interesting things about you.
So I can control the climate and the here we go. This is the total amount of movement you get. Can you even see that? I got that wrong. You do. So, headrest adjustment, backrest. This is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. But talk about a quantum leap. This is one of the biggest any car maker has ever made, I think, possibly, in one go, and it does appear to be a pretty incredible job. The bit I don't get is there really isn't a great deal in common with that in Lotus Emira. They are effectively two different companies. But if I have to be honest, I think I'm more likely to have one of these and keep my Evora and have this as an upgrade on the family car than have an Emira. Anyway, amazing. So as you just heard, I was genuinely impressed with the Eletre. The way I look at it is, it's a fantastic Chinese electric SUV. It happens to have Lotus badges on it. That wouldn't be the reason I would get one, but if I was to get one, it was because I thought it was a really nice Chinese SUV. I do currently have a Japanese hybrid SUV, a Lexus, as a family car, so it's not a giant stretch to imagine owning an electric Chinese SUV one day. The Eletre is an absolute quantum leap for Lotus, that much is immediately clear. I can't think of any other car maker that has made such a drastic step change with one single model than this. It's also clear that Geely are not messing around, and they really have poured billions into Lotus to create such a thing. At their first attempt, it's a very thoroughly well thought through car, and it's the first time I have really understood the scale of Geely's ambition for Lotus going forward. So in many ways there is actually quite a lot that Lotus fans should be encouraged by, at least for those who wanted the Lotus badge to survive at any cost. Well, this is the cost. But it was also immediately clear to me that this is a Lotus in name only It has absolutely nothing in common whatsoever with the Emira, never mind the Elise. So while I wish it and future electric Lotuses every success, it couldn't be more obvious that we will never see the like of the Elise again from Lotus. They have just come too far in one car to go back there again. And the more Eletres and Emiras that Lotus sell, the fewer reasons Lotus have for ever going back to performance through lightweight. And that for me still feels like a missed opportunity, with all the range anxiety associated with electric cars. Aero efficiency and lightweight could really help add to the range. But as with bicycles, lightweight engineering is expensive. And there seems to be a general acceptance that modern cars just keep getting heavier, and also that electric cars have to be heavy. Sadly, curb weight is just not a selling point, but having empty nods to lightweighting still grates. I mean, it's almost rubbing it in, especially for those few of us that believed in performance through lightweight and supported Lotus through the many lean years. So the truth is, I still have very conflicting emotions about the Eletre, but overall I'm more impressed with it than perhaps I thought I was going to be, just by judging it as a modern SUV by its own merits. I hope to drive one soon, and will obviously share my experience of that with you all. But until then, thank you again for watching, and look after your Elises, Exiges, Evoras and Esprits, because no one's going to make anything like them ever again. Not even Lotus.